And good morning, everybody. It's Randy with Soldiers for the Cross. This is Friday, December the 26th, the day after Christmas. And I hope that yesterday you and your family had an amazing fellowship together. And more so, that as parents, many of you, all of you, acknowledge to your children what this celebration is truly about: the birth of our Savior, the birth of what later became our salvation, the birth, the beginning, the Genesis, if you will, of mankind's new advocate with the Father. So I hope that took center stage over the lights, the gifts, over anything that you done yesterday in fellowship, because these are the riches that we leave our children, that will never spoil, never decay, and will last a lifetime and have eternal benefits. The gifts will eventually fade away, break, tear up, go away. But what you leave in the heart of your children, in understanding that Jesus Christ came into this world to start a journey that didn't end on the cross. It went to the cross and then eternally went to the right hand of the Father. So hope your day was blessed. Looks like we got some rain on the ground right now, and hopefully it doesn't turn into freezing rain. But we're going to get on into Genesis here. We stopped in the end of chapter 44 yesterday, and at this point we have Joseph, who has basically told his brothers, look, now at this point I've seen you guys, and at this point they still don't know who he is, but now he wants to see Jacob. Now he wants their father brought to him. So in doing this, he says, well, I'm going to keep Benjamin, and you guys go back and get your father, bring him back, and then we'll talk a little further. And of course, the brothers are saying, look, you keep Benjamin and we show up without him, and our father is just going to die right where he stands. You'll never see him. So Judah does something out of the ordinary here. He offers himself up. Hey, let Benjamin go back with the others. Keep me, because if you want to see our father, then he's more likely to come back if he knows Benjamin's safe than if you keep Benjamin. And we move into chapter 45, and Joseph at this point, he is seeing the unselfish act of his brother Judah. He just can't contain it any further. Chapter 45, verse 1, then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the entire house of Pharaoh heard him. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph, doeth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. They were thinking he's this governor, and is he trying to play a prank on him? Is he trying to catch him up in something here? And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, who you sold into Egypt. Now don't be grieved or angry with yourselves that you sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life. Chapter 45, all the way through, is how Joseph made himself aware to his brothers. He basically told them, look, what you intended for harm to me, God made for good, and God sent me ahead of you. Even though you were vindictive in what you done, you wanted me dead. God wanted me alive. So here, these years later, as this famine sets in, I can save all of you from starving and dying. So chapter 45 ends up being a basic open confession of Joseph, and so loud that Pharaoh heard him. Well, then Joseph has this discussion with Pharaoh about his family, and Pharaoh's like, hey, bring him in. And we move on to Genesis 45, verses 4 through 8, where Joseph is talking to him, and he told him, said, come near to me so you can see that it's truly me. And don't hate yourselves over what you did to me. This is already in the past. It's gone. And the forgiveness came. Now therefore be not grieved nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither, for God did send me before you to preserve life. Sometimes we get caught up in our lives and we get basically on a path that we're familiar with, and when things start to change on that path, we get anxiety, we get stress, but we don't realize that the door that God may have open at the other side of that path may be more something greater than we could have ever fathomed. And this is living proof of Joseph, of where he began and where he is to date. And the people along the way that wish you failure, wish you harm, wish you were dead, later on, God may place you in a position to where you have two choices you can make when you see these people later on in life. You can have the forgiveness to offer in your heart, or you can have the pride of your position to brag about how you made it. And Joseph clearly in humility here says, God brought me to where I'm at. You guys initiated it, but you had no idea what God's plan was for me later on. So what you initiated, God took it and built it into something miraculous. And now here I am, being able to give you guys food during 7 years of famine to where you won't starve to death. So moving into chapter 46, they go on, they pick Jacob up, and not only Jacob, but all the kinsmen of the family. And they're on their way to Egypt. And Pharaoh is pretty well pleased that Joseph's happy, because Joseph has done a great service for Pharaoh and taken over the governorship and, the land during this time of famine and stuff. Excuse me. So Jacob comes to Egypt, the entire family, and his spirit's restored. He sees his son that he thought was gone forever. And as a family now, they're in the land of Goshen. And God's basically telling them, hey, go on down to Egypt. I'm still going to make great nations. Because remember, he promised Abraham, he promised Isaac, and now on to Jacob. And Jacob goes on down to Egypt, and he sees his son Joseph, and it's just something for him. His spirit's restored to him. He's happy and joyful. And the famine is hitting, and they're 2 years into the famine, and Joseph tells them, said, hey, we still got 5 years of this left. In chapter 47, then Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, my father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan. Behold, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, what is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said moreover unto Pharaoh, For to sojourn in the land are we come, for thy servant hath no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are coming to thee, and the land of Egypt is before thee, and the best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell, and if thou knowest any men of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before him. Wow. Big twist of events from the time of Jacob until modern day. But they blessed their enemies that cursed them and despitefully used them, even unto this day. And we take forgiveness, reconciliation of the heart, reconciliation from the spirit, and that's what God has put into this story. There could have been years of hatred held in Joseph's heart, anger, everything towards his brothers. But he knew from what his father instilled in him that this wasn't the way he was supposed to be, because he could see through all the smoke and mirrors of what happened to him and see clearly what God had done for him. And because of this, he wanted to share with his family, not as a way of getting back at those who tried to hurt him, but to bless those who tried to hurt him. Great lessons to take away from this, from beginning all the way to the end of this story. And, next week we'll move into Jacob, has finally passed and wants to be taken out of the land of Egypt, buried with his fathers. And, his son Jacob, or Joseph, honors that request. So just remember, whatever happened to you in the past does not make you in the future. You have to shed it, you have to forgive it, and move forward. Forgetting's not so easy, but forgetting comes with discernment. And that tells you the choices that you have before you, moving past whatever happened to you early on in your life. So you can sit and dwell and get stuck in the mud, or you can rise up, see what God's got behind that door, open it up, walk through it, using Him to guide your path. And you're going to find out, just as I did almost 14 years ago in moving 300 and some miles away from my comfort zone, that what God has in store for you could be one of the greatest blessings that you would ever fathom to come into your life. Guys, thank you so much. We have stopped off at chapter 50, where we will pick up next week. And thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I love doing this, and stay warm. Hope you guys enjoy your time off and enjoy it with family, and really start getting into these Bible verses so that you can build legacies that will last a lifetime and an eternity with your children. Okay, you guys take care. Love you, and we will see everyone soon again next week, Monday morning, with Soldiers for the Cross.